Hello, this is Shanita Saints again, and I want to focus on the Third Amendment to the United States Constitution. The Third Amendment of the United States Constitution states the following, and I quote, "No soldier shall, in time of peace, be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in a manner that is prescribed by law," unquote. What is the Third Amendment? The Third Amendment to the United States Constitution places restrictions on the quartering of soldiers in private homes without the owner's consent, forbidding the practice in peacetime. The amendment is in response to the Quartering Acts passed by the British Parliament during the build-up of the American Revolutionary War, which had allowed the British Army to lodge soldiers in private residences. The Third Amendment was introduced in Congress in 1789 by James Madison as part of the United States Bill of Rights in response to anti-Federalist objections to the new Constitution. Congress proposed the amendment to the states on September 28, 1789, and by December 15, 1791, the necessary three-quarters of the states had ratified it. Secretary of State Thomas Jefferson announced the adoption of the amendment on March 1st, 1792. And March 1st is today. How ironic. The amendment is one of the least controversial of the Constitution and is rarely litigated, with the American Bar Association calling it a, quote, runt piglet, unquote, of the United States Constitution. To date, it has never been the primary basis of Supreme Court decisions. So what was the cause and the reason of the Third Amendment? The amendment is a response, like I said earlier, of the Quartering Acts that was passed by the British Parliament during the build-up of the American Revolutionary War. And of course, it allowed the British Army to lodge soldiers in private residences. In 1765, the British Parliament enacted the first of the Quartering Acts, requiring the American colonies to pay the cost of British soldiers serving in the colonies, and requiring that if the local barracks provided insufficient space, the colonists must lodge the troops in alehouses, inns, and livery stables. After the Tea Party, the Quartering Act was enacted as one of the intolerable acts that pushed the colonies toward the revolution. It authorized British troops to be housed wherever necessary, including private homes. The quartering of troops was cited as one of the colonists' grievance to the United States Declaration of Independence. So what does the Third Amendment mean and why is it important? And I'm going to reiterate that again. The Third Amendment is one of the first 10 amendments to the Constitution known as the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights were a result of the colonists' displeasure of their intolerable acts and the treatment overall that they received from the British. They want to make sure that no American citizen will be forced to house soldiers without their consent. Now, although there were very few court cases that cited the Third Amendment, there were some court cases that were, but not necessarily by the Supreme Court. The Third Amendment is one of the most least sections of the U.S. Constitution. To date, no major Supreme Court decision has used the amendment as its primary basis. The Third Amendment has been invoked in a few instances in helping to establish the implicit right to privacy in the Constitution. Justice William O. Douglas used the amendment along with others in the Bill of Rights as a partial basis for the majority decision in Griswold versus Connecticut in 1965, which cited the U.S. Constitution as implying a belief that the individual's home should be free from agents of the state. The most recent Third Amendment decision handed down by the federal court was on February 2nd, 2015. The United States District Court for the District of Nevada held in Mitchell versus the City of Henderson that the Third Amendment does not apply to intrusions by municipal police officers since they are not soldiers. Since this course is about the American Revolution, I thought it would be fitting to shed a spotlight on this least cited amendment to the Constitution. We rarely mention the Third Amendment to the Constitution at all, especially in school. It's just one of the list of amendments that the children have to memorize, especially in 5th grade in Georgia. But was never really dealt with significantly like the First Amendment to the Constitution. It was due to the resistance of the colonists to the Intolerable Acts, which was a part of that after the war, which the Quartering Acts was a part of, that after the war was that after the war was won by the colonists of the American Revolution, made its way as part of our basic rights. So I think that the Third Amendment to the Constitution is just as important as the other 10 amendments and subsequent amendments to the Constitution. And that's why I chose this to highlight this, because this was a result of the sentiment and the growing sentiment of resentment among the American colonies toward the Intolerable Acts, which led to the American Revolution. Thank you for listening and have a great day.